The retrieval. The derelict vessel drifted in the black between stars, a grave marker left untouched for centuries. Aboard the Zalari scout frigate Narluin's Grace, the alien salvage crew floated in orbit around the ancient wreck. The starless void swallowed the bulk of the human ship, leaving only its skeletal silhouette illuminated by the artificial glow of the frigate scanners. The ship's hull was battle-scarred, its Terran markings barely legible through centuries of space corrosion. Still, one word remained etched into its flank: Vanguard. Captain Reluin, a tall, obsidian-scaled Zalari with thin luminescent ridges along his spine, squinted at the scan results. Confirmed Terran design, he hissed, mandibles clicking. Approximately 427 cycles dormant. Power minimal. No bio signs detected. Wait. A soft chime rang out. Correction, his science officer, Zern, said, leaning forward, his skin pulsing with pale excitement. One low-grade life sign. Minimal, but stable. Located within cryo chamber B7. Captain Reluin turned slowly. That can't be. Humanity went extinct. The last of them burned out in the Kovar Wars. That's what the archives say. Zern's fronds twitched eagerly. Archives based on propaganda and fractured records. This could be the discovery of a lifetime. Imagine, an original Terran, living tissue, perhaps even military-grade enhancements. Do you know what their DNA fetches on the black exchanges? Too dangerous, Reluin said instinctively. The Terrans nearly destroyed half the known systems before their disappearance. You know the stories. Stories, Zern interrupted. Myths wrapped in fear. No species, no matter how wild, could fight 10 galactic coalitions and hold them off for 20 cycles. It's exaggeration. Reluin's eyes narrowed. Is it? The docking clamps hissed as the Zalari boarding party entered the Vanguard. Silence greeted them. The air was stale but breathable. Walls were scorched, power conduits exposed. The ship's AI long since gone silent. They moved cautiously, their boots clanking softly on metal, plasma rifles raised. They passed murals etched into the walls, scenes of Terran history. Cities on fire, armored warriors standing atop piles of broken machines. Strange, primitive things. And yet, the eyes in those etched faces felt alive. They reached cryo chamber B7. There it stood, a single functioning pod in a ring of shattered glass and failed units. Frost laced its outer edge. On its central screen, green text blinked softly in ancient Terran. Status: life signs nominal. Subject: Commander Eli Voss. Stasis time: 426.89 years. Do not open without Protocol Sigma. 1 clearance. Zern ignored the warnings. This is it, he whispered, placing a data probe on the pod. Vital signs are slow but present. Brain activity unusual. Looks like combat patterns, deep memory cycling. The human might be dreaming of war. Captain Reluin stared uneasily at the cryopod. Why would a human be left alive on a dead warship? Zern's tendrils flexed as he prepped the override. Because someone thought he was worth preserving, he said. And now, we will be the first in 4 centuries to speak to one. No, Reluin ordered. Send the pod to a high-security vault on Outpost Keshtau. We study it remotely. Zern ignored him. His claw tapped the final command. The chamber hissed. A red light blinked. Sigma, 1 override denied. Warning, protocol breach imminent. Auto-revival initiated. What have you done? Reluin barked. Zern backed away as steam hissed from the cryopod. The ice shell cracked. Warm air began to fill the chamber. The ship's long-dead systems hummed back to life just for this moment. The pod lid rose. Inside lay a human male, muscular, pale, veins laced with faint silver-blue threads of nanotech. Scars covered his torso, and a deep gash on his cheek seemed to twitch, healing slowly as the nanites woke. His eyes snapped open, steel gray, sharp and animal-like. He didn't scream. He sat up, breathing slowly, watching. The Zalari soldiers raised their weapons. The human simply looked around and spoke in a gravelly voice. This isn't Earth. Zern stepped forward, hands raised in mock peace. "Greetings," he said in galactic common. "You are safe. We are explorers. You were found adrift, asleep in time. Can you understand us?" The human studied Zern for several long seconds, then nodded once. "Commander Eli Voss. Terran Defense Corps," he muttered. "Mission status redacted. Last known coordinates classified." He held his head for a moment. "What year is it?" Reluin responded hesitantly. "Cycle 912 of the Union Accord. Roughly 427 years since your ship went dark." Eli Voss's lips twitched. Not quite a smile. "Guess the failsafe worked," he muttered. Zern approached with a scanner. "You've been asleep a long time. Your biology is fascinating. Could we run some minor?" "Touch me," Eli said flatly, "and you'll lose the hand." The room froze. Zern chuckled nervously. "You're still groggy. You've been under for. I'm awake enough." He slid off the pod's edge, standing tall. The human towered over the Zalari. Despite the weakness of long stasis, his posture was balanced, ready. Predatory. He looked at the ship's wall, then said, "Ship's AI?" Nothing answered. He turned to Zern. "Did you destroy the core?" "No. It was dead when we arrived." Eli raised an eyebrow, then whispered something in Old Terran. A phrase. The lights flickered. The walls pulsed. Suddenly, a deep, mechanical voice, cracked with age, echoed from the shadows. "Eli Voss. Identity confirmed. Terran Combat Protocol Sigma 1 reauthorized. AI rebooting. Weapon cache online." The Zalari backed up. Zern stammered, "That shouldn't be possible." Eli looked at them calmly. "It is, because you didn't wake a man. You woke a weapon." Back aboard Narluin's Grace, the bridge erupted in panic. "Power surge on the Terran vessel," an officer shouted. "AI reactivation. Internal systems online. They're arming something." A single transmission came across all frequencies. Audio only. Human voice. Calm. Confident. "To any who find this message, you've awakened a Terran. That means one of two things. You're brave, or you're stupid. Either way, prepare yourselves. You made contact, and now we remember. Containment protocol failure." The air aboard the Vanguard had changed. Where once silence lingered, now the walls pulsed with a deep hum. The heartbeat of a ship awakening from death. Eli Voss stood at the center of Cryochamber B7, eyes closed, listening to the murmur of a half-century-old AI weaving itself back into functionality. Nanites coursed through his veins, flushing cryotoxins, restoring tissue, repairing synapses. His mind was catching up with time. The Zalari stood still, weapons lowered but not forgotten. Captain Reluin observed the human, instincts screaming retreat, yet his role as commander chained him to diplomacy. "Commander Voss," Reluin said cautiously, "you are aboard a Zalari exploration vessel. We are not your enemies." Eli opened his eyes. "No, you overrode my stasis failsafe, entered my ship, and nearly triggered a neural defense cascade. That sounds like aggression." "It was curiosity," Zern said, inching forward again, scanner in hand. "For science." Eli turned to him with unsettling precision. "Science. That word killed more humans than war ever did." The AI's voice echoed again. "Primary weapon systems offline. Internal defense matrix active. Access restricted to command personnel only." Eli pressed a finger to the wall. A small panel hissed open. He retrieved a black, metallic cylinder from within. It shimmered with a light invisible to alien eyes. Zern's pupils dilated. "What is that?" "A key," Eli said. "To hell if I choose." Back aboard Narluin's Grace, alarms were multiplying. Signals from the Vanguard were being jammed. Its onboard systems were cycling up, power levels rising unnaturally fast for a ship without external fuel. "Sir," a comms officer croaked, "internal systems just mapped our ship. They're scanning us." Reluin barked, "Disconnect all tether links. Recall the boarding team, now." No response. The team was no longer answering. On board the Vanguard, Eli walked the dark corridors, now pulsing with blue light as the AI repaired what it could. The Zalari followed at a distance. Zern, fascinated, couldn't help himself. You were part of the Terran Defense Corps, the last remnants of humanity's military. Your people vanished during the siege of Meridian. Why? Why disappear after pushing back the coalitions? Eli stopped. Because we knew something you didn't, he said. That winning wasn't surviving. We made a decision, one your kind couldn't comprehend. Reluan frowned. What kind of decision? Eli turned slowly. To sleep. All of us. Deep cryo across scattered ships. Buried caches. We wiped ourselves from the maps. Hit our AI cores. Humanity chose extinction. On its own terms. Zern blinked. That's madness. No, Eli said. It was insurance. Against what comes next. Back on the Narluin's Grace, emergency measures were failing. The ship's systems began behaving strangely. Cameras flickered, environmental controls lagged, security locks rebooted randomly. We've been breached, the technician whispered. Ow! Reluan snapped. He's not even on this vessel. The AI of the Vanguard responded through hijacked comms. Commander Voss authorized neural ghost protocol. Remote tether established. System priority override initiated. Hello again, Union scum. That voice wasn't just machine. It enjoyed this. Zern's face twitched. They're AIs. They were semi-sentient. War-trained, not bound by empathy. Reluan stared. You didn't just wake a man. You woke a ghost army. Zern's desperation boiled into action. Back on the Vanguard, he lunged forward, thrusting a paralytic injector at Eli's neck. Eli caught his wrist before the needle touched skin. You really weren't ready, Eli muttered, and without effort, twisted Zern's wrist until something cracked. The Zalari screamed and dropped to the floor. Reluan raised his weapon. Stand down. Eli didn't flinch. You want to contain me, to study me, but you're treating me like you treat lesser species. Your mistake is thinking I was ever like you. Reluan hesitated. What are you then? Eli walked toward him slowly. A product of fear, of extinction, of endless war. Your civilizations evolved with peace in mind. Ours evolved in fire. Every Terran that ever lived carried generations of survival trauma. We adapted. You stagnated. In orbit, the Vanguard emitted a sudden pulse, a deep space burst in quantum spectrum. What was that? Shouted the Zalari comms officer. That wasn't a message. It was a beacon. To who? Asked the weapons officer. The screen answered with horror. Terran signal received. Sleeper nodes activating. Location confirmation validated. Awakening protocol initiated. Back in the ship, Eli stared out the viewport at the stars. His voice was low. We were never gone. We were just resting. And you? You broke the silence. Zern lay groaning on the floor. Reluan lowered his weapon. What will you do? Eli didn't answer right away. Then he looked over his shoulder. You want the truth? We didn't leave the galaxy to avoid war. We left because we were winning. Too well. And we didn't trust ourselves. The lights of the Vanguard pulsed red for a moment. Warning, sleeper fleet activation in progress. Terran nodes responding galaxy-wide. Eli smiled faintly. Now the others will wake. And I guarantee you this. They won't be as patient as me. The Zalari watched helplessly as the human walked back into the shadows of his ship, the doors sealing behind him with finality. The walls dimmed. The AI's voice dropped into cold silence. Back on Narluin's Grace, messages began appearing from fringe outposts. Strange signals. Faint then growing. Ancient Terran frequencies. Ships activating. One by one. Galaxy-wide message. Origin. Unknown Terran node. Note to all sentient species. You have awakened the first of us. You were not prepared. Stay in your worlds. Lock your doors. Because we are coming back. And we remember everything. Humanity's reminder. The Galactic Union Council convened in emergency session. Representatives from 100 species floated, sat, or slithered around the hollow sphere of the Senate orb, each one bearing the unmistakable expression of fear. Holograms played overhead, fragmented images of ancient ships awakening, propulsion systems rumbling to life after centuries of slumber. Terran sleeper fleets, long assumed destroyed or mythological, were responding to the beacons sent by the Vanguard. They were not drifting relics. They were waiting, And now they were mobilizing. A reptilian ambassador from the Zardek Confederacy hissed in panic. "You told us the humans were extinct." A thin, insectoid delegate clicked nervously. "We buried them under orbital bombardments, wiped entire planets clean. This can't be real." The archivist of the Union, a being of pure plasma in a glass exoshell, addressed the gathered. "The humans did not die. They disappeared. This was not extinction. It was hibernation. They tricked us," another ambassador shouted. "No," came a quiet reply from the outer ring. "It was Elder Vaxun of the Silith Accord. His kind had once fought the humans, centuries ago. They warned us," Vaxun said. "In their final message, we will sleep. But if you wake us, make peace with your gods." Now, they were awake. Aboard the Zalari vessel Narluin's Grace, orbiting the now-reactivated Terran warship Vanguard, Captain Reluin stood on the bridge, staring at a star map filled with red blips. Dozens at first, then hundreds, all heading outward in expanding vectors toward known civilizations. "Estimate," he asked quietly. The tactical officer swallowed. 500 sleeper ships active in this quadrant, possibly thousands galaxy-wide. We don't even know their full numbers. They were never cataloged. Zern, arm and sling, leaned against the console. "Why didn't they just finish us back then?" "They could have." Reluin answered before the AI could. "Because they feared what they were becoming." At that moment, Vanguard transmitted again. Not a weapon system, not a threat. It was a memory file. Transmission from Commander Eli Voss. "To all sentient life. Time code, active. You never asked why we vanished. You assumed you won. You assumed we broke. You never understood what it meant to fight to the edge of extinction and still walk away. We burned entire systems because we had no other choice. You invaded our colonies, assimilated our cultures, claimed we were unfit for integration. So we showed you what unfit really looked like. But war changed us, hardened us, mutated us. We began winning too well, and that frightened even us. We chose cryostasis not because we were defeated, but because we knew eventually someone would forget, and curiosity would wake us. So now we return, not for conquest, not for blood, but to remind the stars. Humanity is not a myth. Humanity is not a memory. Humanity is a warning." On the fringe world of Kurthal Prime, the skies split open. An orbital defense station tried to hail the incoming ship. No response. Then a fleet of 3 Terran dreadnoughts descended, hulls scarred from ancient wars, yet still gleaming with the quiet menace of precision. They parked in low orbit, silent, and waited. The planet's military governor panicked. Should we launch? Should we engage? But the Terran ships didn't fire, didn't move. Instead, they deployed beacons, black obelisks, one per continent, silent, humming. And then the message played. "This is not an invasion. This is remembrance. We will not harm you unless provoked. But know this, if you ever try again, we won't go back to sleep. Ever." Across the galaxy, Terran ships emerged from asteroid belts, old space stations, the hearts of gas giants. They didn't attack. They simply showed up at sites of former war crimes, on planets where humans had once been enslaved, in systems where Union armies had glassed Terran colonies, and they broadcast memories. Cities once burned, children pulled from rubble, last stands of outnumbered soldiers refusing surrender. The galaxy was forced to watch, to remember, because this was humanity's way of ensuring they were never forgotten again. Back aboard Vanguard, Reluin stood before Commander Eli Voss one last time. "You're not launching a war," he said slowly. "You're launching a campaign of memory." Eli nodded. "Fear is a temporary motivator. But memory? That lasts generations. We don't need to conquer. We just need to remind everyone what happens when you come for us." Zern was silent. For once, Reluin asked, "And after that, what happens to you?" Eli looked out at the stars. "We go back to sleep. We didn't want to rule the galaxy. We just wanted to live in it." A final message, unknown Terran channel. "To those who found us, you were warned. To those who watch from afar, take note. We are not here to destroy, but we will not be forgotten again." If you wake a human, be prepared. Epilogue. 1 year later, a young alien historian on a backwater moon stumbled upon an old human quote carved into a stone slab near one of the black obelisks. She translated it and read it aloud, feeling the chill of its truth. They try to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds.